NASCAR invades the North Wilkesboro Speedway this weekend for the NASCAR Cup Series and the Truck Series. Now, on deck in this Cup race, I think Kyle Larson has to be a favorite. I'm going to put my neck out on the line for this one. I believe Kyle Larson, who hasn't won all year, who has one of the longest winless streaks in the NASCAR Cup Series, is a clear contender. I think that winless streak ends this Sunday. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a Hendrick fan. I'm not just saying this because, well, I think it would be a good storyline or clickbait. I actually have stats that back this up, and I also have a realistic set point. That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, Kyle Larson, he struggled earlier this year. He could not figure out that this new body that Chevy decided they were going to come up with and present this year. He couldn't figure it out, and Hendrick Motorsports couldn't figure it out. They got their asses kicked for the majority of this year, except the only problem is probably around May, they started turning it around. Their mile and a halfs got better, which has always been a strong suit of them. Their super speedway package got a little bit better. Road courses, well, they were on there. They even got Chase Elliott to victory lane, twice now? That's a hell of an accomplishment. Now we are getting to a point where Kyle Larson is coming alive. And do you know what Kyle Larson has been doing this entire week? He's been driving, he's been racing, he's been in sprint cars, he's been running high limit races. And in fact, on Thursday night in Eldora, he won the high limit race that had a ton of drivers in there, from World of Outlaws to Corey Day and others, right? Now, Kyle Larson is a guy that when he gets consistency, and more importantly, when he gets confidence, he's a scary individual. His year away from NASCAR showed that. His comeback year where he won the championship showed that. When Kyle Larson does two things, success happens. When he races a lot and when he wins a lot, he's one of the most dangerous and scary individuals behind a race car that we've ever seen. Now, you look at his history at North Wilkesboro, that brings another point to this conversation. And it honestly backs up my opinion. So I fired up the old Google machine and I decided, hey, how is Kyle Larson doing at North Wilkesboro? And oh, by the way, how is Kyle Larson doing on short tracks thus far this year? And these stats are pretty freaking interesting. So at North Wilkesboro, you have a situation where in 2023, mind you, it was for the All-Star race, he led and kicked everybody's ass, leading over 140 laps, and he won the damn thing. Pretty impressive, right? The following year, another all-star race, I know, he finished fourth. He was right there in the mix. Now, 2025 people will point to, well, he finished 21st that race. He's fallen off. He's not the same guy. The track has changed. The setup has changed. The competition has changed. No, if you go back and you look, he was actually involved in an on-track accident with a heavily damaged car, and yet he still finished 21st. I don't know about you, but I find that pretty damn impressive. Now, you look at his average finishes thus far this year in 2026. He's actually averaging a 9.33 finish on short tracks, not super speedways, not mile and a halves, not road courses. We're just talking about short tracks because the last time I checked, North Wilkesboro was a short track. This gives me the belief that at a time where Toyota has gone out there, kicked everyone's ass, and told them that they were kicking their ass while they were kicking their ass, tells me that I think there's going to be a changing of the guard. Yes, is there going to be a ton of Toyotas up front and that they are probably going to lead the majority of the laps at North Wilkesboro? Yes, but the last time I checked, it was like 400 laps or so that they're going to run. At the same time, you're also going to have a dynamic with the setups, right? It's going to go from, day-ish with the sun going down to it ending under the lights because, well, NASCAR had a freaking great idea. And instead of roasting their fans in the middle of the day, they decided, let's put it under the lights and make it a better spectacular. They've done that for the majority, if not all of the North Wilkesboro races since returning to the racetrack. And, well, that leads you to having changing setups. So the question is, will NASCAR come in there, or will, Team Hendrick and the number 5 car go in there with the idea of, let's have our car set up where, yes, we're competitive in the early stages, but let's have our car primed for the night time. Now, the majority of the tracks or the drivers and the teams, they will do that. But I also think that Hendrick, better than anyone, has had so much practice in coming off of the truck and being bad and having to make changes throughout practice and qualifying and the race to the point where they're a pretty good organization when it comes to that. They're a well-oiled machine in the idea of, okay, we're not great off the truck, but by God, by the end of this race, we're going to have this sumbitch dialed in. I think that's going to be a case. And I think with the track changing from day to night, with Kyle Larson on fire, with a ton of confidence, with him driving pretty much every night this week outside of Friday night, and having a ton of success on short tracks this year and having a lot of success at North Wilkesboro, not only do I think that also backs up the theory that, well, it's Kyle Larson, so he's always going to be a favorite, but there's legitimately stats and facts and reasoning to believe that he should be one of the clear-cut favorites for this weekend, especially if you're like me, who is tired of seeing 23XI and JGR just go out there and dominate most of these races. Yes, I know Ryan Blaney is on a tear, right? He's coming off of Atlanta. He's dominating Atlanta. Oh, well, Team Penske's back. The 12's back. Ryan Blaney's back. I don't think Ryan Blaney ever left. I think Ryan Blaney is doing what Ryan Blaney does. He overcomes all of the pitfalls that Ford and Penske have if you've looked at other Ford teams. But if you want something different, you want something that is kind of out there, but it's right there in front of your face, I think it's Kyle Larson. I think it's that number 5. I think they're going to be fired up. Kyle Larson is someone that when you give him opportunity to go out there and race, whether he wins or loses, he gets a little bit more confident. He even talked about that in his post-race interview after winning the high limit race, where it takes a little bit of confidence to run the high side at Eldora. Well, it takes a little bit of confidence to go out there and win. If you got your ass kicked and haven't won a race for over a year, that will take away from your confidence. I don't care who you are or what type of success you've had in the past. You need momentum. You need confidence. You need self-belief. And I think Kyle Larson is going to have that self-belief, that he's going to have that confidence going into North Wilkesboro based off the success that he's had this year in the Cup Series, based off of the success that he's had at North Wilkesboro, and based off the fact that he's been in a damn race car all this week. That is why I'm putting all my money on the table and on Kyle Larson. Let me know in the comments here below. Do you agree with my prediction? And I'll see y'all in the next video.